Ouchies. Hey, what's up guys? Welcome back to another episode of Dirtnation Off-Road. So today what we're doing is a product review, and we're going to be reviewing a couple products from Auxbeam. Now today, the vehicle that we're going to be working on is our 1988 Toyota pickup Winchers. Now this is our regular rock crawler. We take it on a variety of different runs, and this truck is great in a lot of ways, but there's a couple gaping holes in this truck that I want to get taken care of in this video. First, the wiring is a mess. The switch panel that I use, that's currently like the cheapest one that you can get from Amazon, it is crap and I want to upgrade that. And then this truck needs extra lighting because we use this on a lot of night runs, and currently I just have the front headlights as well as some like Harbor Freight lights that I zip tied underneath to act as rock lights. So we want to upgrade some of the lighting on the truck, and then I also need to get a adequate flagpole because I used to use my Harbor Freight jack as my flagpole, which yeah, it works and all, but you know what, it's honestly, it's not the best option, and it's probably not the safest option to have that rolling around and everything back there. So I want to install some products today that are going to take care of those things on this truck. So let's show you what we're going to be reviewing today. First up, we have an 8-gang switch panel from Auxbeam. This is the RA80 XL RGB 8-gang switch panel. Now we've previously reviewed other switch panels from Auxbeam. I'll link that video down below. This one has some cool additional features. First of all, it's a 5-inch switch panel, so it's actually much bigger than the typical ones that you're going to see from Auxbeam as well as other offerings. It's definitely a lot bigger than the one that's on Winchers currently, and then it has 1-inch buttons, and it's also, because it's RGB, you can actually pick the colors to match, you know, any kind of lighting that you have inside the vehicle, your dash lights, whatever you want to do. You can pick exactly what color is emitting from the lights on these. And then up next, we have a set of 4-foot LED light whips. Now these are pretty cool because they're going to kill 2 birds with 1 stone for me. First of all, it's going to add some nice lights to the vehicle, as well as you can use these as a flag mount. So now I can mount 2 different flags, probably have the Dirtnation one and then probably Old Glory flying nice and high on these light whips. What's also cool about these is they are remote controlled as well as Bluetooth controlled, so you can change the coloring on them. There's probably a bunch of different features. We're going to dive into all of that. I look forward to showing you guys how cool these are going to be. First, we'll show you what's inside the packaging, and then we'll dive into the truck, the installation, and everything that comes with that. Let's get started. Let's show you our wiring mess that we have in here. So this is the control box that we had. Now, like I said, the one from Amazon, it does work. The only thing is it only has positives going in and then you ground to the battery. So I have a whole lot of extra stuff going to my negative that I don't need. So I can clean up a little bit of that, and then I might be able to probably clean up a little bit of this as well. And then here's our Amazon switch panel. I mean, it's not even really mounted in there. You can see I just kind of have it in there, but it does work. I mean, you know, there's that and all that fun stuff. But we're gonna go ahead and rip out all of this stuff, and then we'll get started with installing the new stuff. Okay, so we've pretty much gotten this area all cleaned up. The only wiring that's left is the signal wires for the switches that we need. So we have our temp gauge, as well as we have a bunch of wiring that's for our air compressor, because ARB does have some pretty extensive wiring. All we need for this application is we need the 2 signal wires for the air compressor as well as for the air locker. So I'll have 3 items switching over that I previously had hooked up to my switch panel, and then we're going to add a couple obviously for the LED light whips as well as some other lights. So I went ahead and mounted up just to mock up our control box. It looks like I'm going to go ahead and put it right here. Now I'm bolting it directly to the inner of the fender right here, and it looks like it's going to be pretty solid and it's going to work exactly how we need it to. And then I'll be able to put my air compressor and mount it right on top of that. Now for your application, it's going to be a little bit different. Luckily, Auxbeam does include a couple mounts with this system. So you have a flat mount, which would work exactly in this situation. If you wanted to mount it in a flat way, you'd put it on the bottom of this, and then you'd be able to bolt it like that. And then it comes with a more right angle one, or let's say you wanted to bolt it on the inside of the fender and have this floating up a little bit, you could do that as well. So shout out to Auxbeam for actually including a couple different mounts. That way it can be more of a universal fit for a variety of different circumstances. With all that out of the way, let's go ahead and start wiring this up. I'll show you exactly what you're gonna need and what you're gonna need to do to get power to this and then get power to your switch panel on the inside. Okay, so I kind of mocked up everything so I guys can show you exactly how you're gonna wire this up. These are very straightforward. It looks complicated, there's a bunch of wires, but once you get it set up, you're gonna understand it is fairly simple as long as you follow the steps, as well as when it comes to any wiring stuff, you're gonna wanna test stuff before you like really set it into place. It's always good to make sure you know exactly what wire does what and so on and so forth. But getting into the control box, I've kind of mocked it up. So we're gonna have a negative, which is this black cable right here, and then this will run straight to the battery. And then you have a positive cable, which is the short one, and this is gonna run from the control box to the circuit breaker, which I have mounted down here. And then you're gonna have a longer red cable that's gonna run from the circuit breaker to the battery. And what that's going to allow it to do is, if there's any issues with this or any of your lights, before it overloads the system, it's going to trip the circuit breaker and just turn everything off. So right now it's off. If I go like that, then it's closed, and now it has power again. So I'm gonna go ahead and put that back to open, then we're good to go there. Now this black braided cable is actually for the switch panel. So this is gonna run through the firewall, running to your switch panel. So once I get that mounted up, I'll show you exactly how that looks. And then the last one is your accessory wiring. So this one is very important. This is gonna be what you set up either to your fuse box, wherever you're gonna pull power to run this entire system, because although this gives power, without this whole thing does not work. It will not light up the switches. You can't use the switches. You know, this is gonna complete the power for it. So usually you will they include add a fuse, so you can do it under your dash, adding it to your fuse box, or you can pull power from a different spot. Now this is an older truck. I have to take a look at where the fuse panel is, but if I could pull power from a fuse, I'll do that. If not, I'll pull power from somewhere else. And then also on here, you can see there's two openings on the bottom. So when this is all closed up, you're gonna run all your wires, including all the signal wires for your switches, are gonna go through right here. So I already ran everything through the bottom right there, and you guys can see I have it tucked in there all nicely. It's all plugged in, it's all ready to go. Now also, every single one of your switches is gonna have its own fuse connection, which means, let's say you have your air compressor hooked up right here, something goes wrong with the air compressor, it shorts out, it's gonna pop this fuse rather than overloading the rest of this stuff. So that's really cool. Now, these all range from 5, 10, we have 20 and 30. As far as I know, and I've tested it on other switch panels, you can use different fuses for different spots. I usually just keep it as it is, because most of the time with a 5 milliamp fuse, if it's just a signal wire, it shouldn't really be a problem. So pretty simple stuff. Up next, I'll show you how to actually start plugging in your signal wires, positives and negatives, so that we can run power to this, and then we'll be good to go from there. Little change on my part. I ended up having to run the circuit breaker down here to the battery because I didn't have enough line to run it up here and then back. So no big deal, it'll still work the same, but this is how it's going to be mounted right there. So I already have it connected to positive, hooked up right there. This is hooked up, and then we have to run the negative to the battery, but I'll do that in just a second. Now, to run your actual wiring, let's show you how to do it. So first up, we have, this is for our temp gauge. Just like, you know, normal wiring stuff, you're gonna have to just strip off a little bit and a little exposed right there. I'm gonna go ahead and pick number 4. So this is gonna be number 1, positive, negative, 2, positive, negative, 3, positive, negative, 4. So we're gonna undo that for positive and negative, and then same as the rest of the wires, you're gonna run them underneath this thingamajigger right here. This is negative for number 4, so you stick that in there and you just use your Phillips that's included. Then we'll go ahead and do the same for positive. Those two are presumably wired now. For the compressor, it's a little different. There's no negatives because it's the actual wiring harness grounds out the air compressor. So that part I actually don't have to worry about. What I have to just worry about with this is which one is which. So I don't know yet, so I'm gonna actually have to test that. Okay, real quick. So I already ran through and I have the switch panel that's on the inside of the vehicle. Now I want to do a test real quick to make sure that I have everything hooked up correctly. So I'm gonna go ahead and hook up the air compressor And then let's make sure that the air compressor is getting power and all of that is solid. Let's test. So we have power. You can see green lights. That's good to go. Okay. I have it backwards. I just got to switch my wiring around because it turns out this is number one. This is why I was saying test everything, because if I didn't test right now, I would have had mine all but backwards. All right, up next, let's work on this wiring, the accessory part. So they include a add a fuse, which what you will use to add a circuit to your fuse panel, which is pretty cool idea. So pretty much the whole premise is you take your wire, then you take the butt connector. Is that a butt connector? I don't know. Pretty much you take the wire, and then it has a little crimp inside there. You're gonna stick that inside, you're gonna crimp it together, and then you'll go ahead and replace a fuse on your fuse box. So because I don't know exactly which one I'm gonna steal from right now, I'm gonna have to do a little bit of testing, because you wanna take one that goes when the key is on. You don't wanna have constant power, because if you have constant power to the control box, it's gonna pretty much have everything on all the time. Now the one that I'm taking from, or I'm gonna test first, is a 15 amp fuse. So I added a 15 amp fuse on there so that we are salad. That one's plugged in. Now, problem. See how it has power right now? That means whatever that is has constant power. We can't take from that one. So we're gonna have to find a different one. Got that one. So you see, this one doesn't have constant power. So let's turn on the key. Bam, now we have power. So this is the one that we're gonna use. So wrapped up down here with this wiring down there. We ran the wiring up all through here. Bada bing, bada boom, and there is our switch panel. So I got it on the roof. I had to drill into the headliner, which isn't ideal, but whatever, it works. So watch, when I turn on the key, now we have bada bing, bada boom. Now the only one that's working right now is number 5, which is gonna be for our temp gauge. All right, now with the switch panel installed, we're gonna go ahead and move on to our LED light whips. So we're gonna be installing them in the rear. So we'll have wiring to run on the bottom and a couple other things, but we'll go over that soon enough. So getting into the light whips, they're actually pretty straightforward. I've already mounted one side. You can see right there. I ended up having to cut into the bed liner, which isn't ideal, but it's an old truck, so no big deal there. This right here is the farthest point where the wiring would reach. Bam. So that's as far back as I could possibly put them, considering where I put the control box. So I could move the control box higher and then move them back, but I'm actually pretty okay with mounting them right there, right underneath here. So that's where I'm gonna go ahead and put my control box, right underneath the bed. And then there is 4 wires right there that you got to get wired up. Now, not all of these are mandatory. There's a left blinker, a right blinker, there's a ground, and then there's power, and then there's actually a brake light. So there's actually 5. So right now I'm gonna hook up power and ground. Maybe on another day I'll get the signals hooked up, but you have all of these right here. So I already have power hooked up, and I'm gonna run this wire all the way to our new fuse box running over there, and then I'm just gonna ground it out, probably find a bolt around here somewhere to get this grounded. All right, so light whips is now this wire connected to switch number 3, and we have it running all the way to the bottom. Then it's grounded out on a bolt on the frame, and then check out our whips. Look at that. So we're able to fly flags, plus have some light whips going. So same thing over here. I drilled into the bed liner as well as the bed, and then cut out a square on both sides so that we're able to tighten it nice and good. Wiring is running underneath, down to the center, and then all the way to the front. And then let's test out. So on, let's press number 3. And then you guys can see the light whips are emitting blue currently. So that tells me they are working. Pretty much done with the install. Now I'm starting to play around with the actual switch panel and the RGB settings. So there's a couple different settings that you can play with. Now, as you can see, the default color is green, but I actually have it on blue right now. So in order to change the color, I believe you press 2 of them at the same time. So when the red light turns on, you're gonna hold 1 and 4 and it'll start cycling through colors, and that's your RGB settings. So you don't have an app for the switch panel, so if you want to pick your color, you're gonna go ahead and do it this way. So I'm gonna cycle it back to blue, and I'm gonna let it stay on blue. Then there's some other settings. So for example, if you were to press the on off twice, see, now it has an option for each one. So you can go in between blue, green, or red. Each one has a different feature. So red means when you press it, it stays on. Blue means it's gonna only be on while you're pressing the blue button. And then green, it's gonna flash on and off. So it's gonna be like 1, 2, 3, 1, 2. It's just gonna constantly turn on and off the switch. So like for example, air, I'm gonna turn it on blue. Then you press on and off, so watch. So air is only on while I'm pressing it. So if I wanna change it back, I can go back to red, on and off, bam. So fairly simple to use. I mean, it's not too difficult. See, when you press on and off, so if you press, so let's say you have the air locker on, or you have the air and the locker on, then you press off, it's gonna turn everything off. But if you press on again, it'll save your settings and turn the same ones on. So let's say you have all 5 of them on. Okay, cool. Let's press off. Turns everything off. Press it, it's gonna turn everything back on again. Curious, what does the key do? Does the key reset the whole thing? So I'm gonna go ahead and put the key in. So it does not save your settings. So you would have to, you know, bam. And then you turn it back on, it's gonna turn those back on. So pretty cool, fairly straightforward to use. Now I'm gonna go ahead and get all cleaned up, and then what we're gonna do is jump to nighttime, where I'm gonna show you guys the light whips, show you guys some of the other stuff that we get hooked up, and then we'll wrap up the video from there. All right, welcome to our night test. Check it out, light whips look good. Also the rock lights look good. And then you can see switch panel up in there, looking nice and delicious. So just to show you guys, there is a controller that comes with it, in which you can press, and let's see, you can pick different colors. So you got yellow, pink, or whatever the hell that's, I guess that's yellow, orange, you got blue, you got light blue. What else we got? We got green, and then we can just go white. White looks pretty good. And then we can change through modes. So we got that. Let's see if we press color. No. So we got that mode. We got that mode. So just a variety of different filtering ones. Oh, okay, look at that one. There we go. Oh, look at that. Looks like we got a bunch of stuff to work with. So different colors you can do. Damn, there's a lot going on here. And you can also change, so you can also change the speed. So let's see, we can slow it down. See, look at that, see how it's slowing down now? Or we can speed it up. So there is also an app you can use, so you can look, see how I'm changing all the colors. So you got some stuff right there, so you can just go white, you know, pick your color. See if we had some different modes. Shit, there's a lot of them. So we can also go based off the microphone. Oh wow, that's pretty cool. So it looks like this app actually works decently well. You know, a lot of these apps, they kind of suck, but this one, you know, works all right. I have no complaints. Oh, look, you can pick, let's say I want to go purple. Bam, purple. Very good stuff. App works. Lights are great. I really like these. And switch panel has also been very good. So that pretty much wraps us up here with this install. Now, we actually had a chance to test out these products at our recent Ironman challenge in Big Bear, and I gotta say, these products did great for me. Wingers looked really good with those light whips, especially on our night runs, and the switch panel did great as well. No issues or problems all weekend. I can definitely recommend these products for any vehicle out there. Now, if you're in the market for products like this, make sure to check out our links to Auxbeam for both of these products, and we'll go from there. But that's all we got for this video. I want to thank you guys for watching. Make sure to subscribe to the channel, follow us on Instagram, Facebook, YouTube, and Patreon. You also hit us up for shirts, hats, hoodies, and all those other goodies at our brand new online store, DirtnationOffroad, BigCartel.com. We have it linked on the screen as well as in the description of this video. But that's all we got for this video. Thank you guys. We'll see you again next time. and now it has these bees